welcome. I'm Karen Horting, Executive Director and CEO of the Society of Women Engineers. I'm here in the WE24 Diverse Podcast Studio with Shelley Knust, our closing keynote speaker at SWE's annual conference. Shelley is the Vice President of Product Compliance and Regulatory Affairs at Cummins, Inc., and she just closed out WE24 with her terrific keynote talk on leading with courage and authenticity. And Shelley, I can't thank you enough for your authenticity and your willingness to share with all of our attendees today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So I want to start, you started from the very beginning of your career, and so we got a question about if you were starting your engineering career today, is there anything you would do differently?
Oh, wow. That's a really tough one because, of course, I believe things have always happened for a reason. And, if you go back and change something, it, may not have ended up this way. But I guess if there's one thing that I could say I wish I'd done it differently, it would have been to more deliberately seek out other women engineers and build a early support network. And that was something that was really missing back in my very early days.
Yeah, we think we have to do everything ourselves and we can't ask for help.
Exactly. And especially, even now, I heard from several sessions here from the women at NASA, just we feel like we have to do more to prove ourselves than our male counterparts. And, we don't. I mean, we are good enough. And that's something that I think, I'd like to, for the younger engineers that are earlier in their careers, to understand that you are there because you are qualified, you deserve to be there, and you are capable of performing great things.
Agreed. We got a number of questions around your assignment in the UK.
Okay.
And in particular, how you went about building relationships with the men that you were working with there.
Yes, great. And it started off, kind of funny because when we first got there, one of the leaders met us at the airport, and I was renting a car, and he was like, "Well, I'll take you to the plant, to get you started." And I was like, "Well, no, I've rented this car, and I've got to get started figuring out how to drive on the other side of the road." And he was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yes." And so that actually was the start of starting to build that relationship where they knew that I was, going to put forth my best effort. And, I just had to be myself with them. And they were all very welcoming, and it just followed very naturally on people are the same everywhere in the world. When it comes to wanting that social interaction, that relationship, and working together towards a common cause to contribute and accomplish great things.
Yeah. Was there one takeaway from that assignment that's stuck with you the whole rest of your career?
The English language is the same, but it's not.
The same but different.
It's the same but different. And so, yes, I picked up quite a lot of different terms for things, and a couple of times got embarrassed when I noticed when people would start giggling. I would come back later. I'd be like, "What did I say?" And it was like, "Oh boy." But no, it was an incredible experience.
So you talked a couple of times during your talk today about bravery. And so how do you summon your bravery when you're going into a tough situation, whether it's professional, personal? Because I think a lot of us struggle with how do we pull that bravery up?
I mean, you do have to be deliberate about it. And it's not something that I think comes naturally to most. And it's certainly not to me. And I think of, what is the outcome that I want to have out of this? And I also consider, well, what are the consequences if it doesn't go well? And, I weigh that, and even if it doesn't go well, it's worth it to try. And so that's where it comes from. It comes from wanting to make forward progress. You have to deliberately push for the outcomes that you want to see.
Because I think a lot of times when we're in those tough situations, we focus on the worst possible outcome instead of kind of visioning that it could be a positive outcome. So you're saying just push through that.
Yeah, I say that the positive outcome is almost always better than the worst negative thing that can happen.
Okay, push through. I'm sensing a theme here. So a lot of people were really excited to hear about your activism. So can you share a little bit about the first time you're going to maybe go to one of those marches and what that was like?
Yeah, so I actually went to that first march on Washington, the LGBT march, and it was 1993 is when it was. And I went with the group of the people I was volunteering with the Gay and Lesbian Switchboard. And, you know, there was excitement to go, but there was also a purpose. And I tell you, just being amongst other like minds, and we were all striving for, you know, the right to exist, the right to be accepted, the right to have, you know, equal protection under the law. And it was just an incredible experience marching in solidarity together throughout the streets of D.C. And there were a lot of us there.
Power in numbers.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like we have that at Swede. You know, the energy that's here, and we're all coming together to, in our case, to support women. But it's powerful when you're with like-minded people.
It is. I'll tell you another experience I had at this conference, and that was when the keynote speaker finished yesterday, which was great to hear her speak. And when we concluded that session, everybody came out into the halls, and it was just a mass of women and people, and it reminded me of being back in high school when, you know, in between classes when everybody would fill the hallways. But this was great because people were, the energy and the excitement of everyone that's here, all experiencing this together. It was just really motivating and inspiring.
Yeah, it pushes you through the week. No matter how tired you are, how many sessions, you feel that energy and you know you're in the right place.
Yes.
So we had a question around mentoring because you talked about the importance of either having a mentor, being a mentor, and there was a question around when you're early in your career, how do you go about getting that mentor without seeming like you're insecure or needy?
Oh, yes. Well, you know, I think most people are very willing to help others. And so if you have, you know, something that you're wanting to develop, even if you're just wanting to build your networks, just take a step out of your comfort zone. Don't worry about it. People don't think that you're, you know, not capable, or, you know, that you're somehow, you know, asking for help is somehow a reflection on your capability. Get out of your comfort zone and ask, because most people want to help. And most people enjoy sharing their experience and their knowledge. And
talking about themselves.
Talking about themselves, certainly. And, you know, I don't think I ever had a negative experience with asking someone, you know, for their thoughts or their experience. Or, you know, it can be on a specific question. It can be on general career advice. It could be on a range of topics. And most people are very willing to help.
Yeah. And give back.
Yeah.
So Shelley, you talked during your keynote about focusing more on your strengths versus your weaknesses. And we got a question around, but what happens if you have a supervisor who likes to focus on the weaknesses versus the strengths?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, you know, it goes back to that philosophy of asking questions and listening more often than you advocate or push for your own position. And with somebody that is, you know, determined to, you know, have you focus on just weaknesses, maybe you throw them a bone and you do that. But at the same time, keep asking questions, keep probing of that person what the department really needs and where your strengths align with what really could be meaningful and advance the mission forward. And I think you'll get your answer on both.
Focusing on the contribution you want to make.
Yes. And, you know, it's also aligning with the goals of the company and also your own internal values and, you know, what you're naturally good at. You can find a path to contribute something that will be really good.
Yes. Thank you. So thank you so much for sharing your insights and your stories with our Sweeple today. As we've learned throughout the week, together we rise. So before we wrap up, do you have any closing thoughts for our members?
I mean, this has just been a great experience, and it's just been my privilege and pleasure to be able to speak with everyone, to feel that energy and that support that we all have for one another. And I would just encourage you, even after this conference, stay connected, stay talking to one another. And for those of you that may have not attended a conference yet, oh, you've got to come to this. And this is fantastic. And, it's just a wonderful, fulfilling experience. And the connections you make here can help you all along the way in your career.
Well, thank you again, Shelley. Well, WE24 may be over, but the learnings will continue long after the conference. So if you missed Shelley's closing keynote, head to SWE's Advanced Learning Center at advancedlearning.swe.org, where we have the full video recording available on demand. I'm Karen Horting, wrapping up live at WE24. Thank you to everyone in our SWE community who made this conference so unforgettable. And we can't wait to see you next year, October 23rd through the 25th at WE25 in New Orleans.